Yo, what's up guys? So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was betrayed by Sakura and Hinata, and got Harem in Sekirei World, Part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Naruhina 123, link is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel, and like this video. Let's begin the video. What? Naruto couldn't believe it. The love of his life confessed that she loved him. It's too good to be true. He's thinking with his heart, not his head. Yes, Naruto, I realize that I love you. The intensity in her voice, her passion, further helped Naruto clear the doubt in his head. Naruto's head cracked, and his mind exploded. Shock was written all over his face. His hands were cold, his throat was dry. His mind was trying to process what she just said, but he kept repeating it in his mind over and over. She loves me. Naruto's eyes widened, and sky blue eyes shimmered, tears threatening to come out. He grasped Sakura by the hands and pulled her in closer to his body. Sakura, do you really love me? Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat as he said love. Sakura sighed and smiled softly. Yes, Naruto, I love you, she replied. She reached to touch his face, but he grasped her hand again. He put her hands to his face and cried. Sakura watched as her teammate, friend, and lover cried his heart out to her, his second goal in life fulfilled. It broke her heart knowing that she didn't really love him. More like a brother, yes, but lover, no. Her heart was torn in two. Sakura, I don't know what to say. Sakura touched his face and dried the tears that were still on his face. He grabbed his cheeks and drew him closer to her. How about this? Naruto's mind exploded into a shower of confusion. Naruto thought with his heart, not his head. The crowd of Lee, Kiba, Sai, Kakashi, Yamato watched in shock as they actually kissed. Lee most of all was devastated. Sakura, he didn't want to cry, but he did. So he did the next best thing to hide it. Oh, what youth! Lee put his right arm over his eyes and cried. Of love lost. Kiba smelled the lie, as well as Kakashi. It was obvious to them that Sakura deceived Naruto. She played with his love for her, and used it for her advantage. Kiba gritted his teeth, anger washing over him like spilled beans on your plate. I'm going to have a talk with her. Kakashi just shook his head in disappointment. Sakura, you fool. Kakashi thought with a grimace face. If you act like that, no one will like you. Kakashi looked at Yamato and nodded. And I thought you matured. Yamato suddenly spoke up after a long, awkward silence. Naruto called out, let's go. Naruto looked at Yamato, then back at Sakura. He reluctantly released her and approached his squad leader. He nodded at Yamato, but before he jumped away, he gave one last glance at Sakura before leaving. Right when Naruto was out of range, Kiba approached Sakura. Well, more like stomped over to her. He gave her a nasty glare and said, how can you play Sakura like him? You're his teammate. How can dash? Before he finished his sentence, Sakura slapped him hard. She glared at him with fury in her lime green eyes. Don't you ever tell me what I can or can't do, Kiba. What I do is my own business, not yours. She was prepared to strike him again when Kakashi's voice stopped her. Sakura, stop. It was more of a demand than an actual order. Sakura turned to glare at her sensei, but instead she felt like shrinking under his glare. Stop your foolishness. You're a shinobi, so act like one. If you are doing this to fill your own void of loneliness, then don't bother to drag Naruto into this. Sakura took a step back as she clenched her fist. Lee was the one who voiced his thoughts next. Stop, all of you. Kakashi and Kiba were the only ones surprised at how quiet he said it. He sounded hurt, but other than that he masked his other emotions perfectly. Don't fight now that we are so close to war. Kakashi and Kiba begrudgingly nodded at that. Kiba grunted as a response before walking up to his partner, Akamaru. Let's go, buddy. The dog gave a single bark as a response and followed his master/partner. They both jumped away, back to the Leaf Village. Kakashi watched as the two dogs jumped away. He turned to look back at Sakura and said, let's go to Sakura. Sakura turned to look back at her sensei. But Sasuke-kun, she stuttered. Now it all made sense. No. She came here for Sasuke, not Naruto. He sighed to himself. How could I have let it go so far, without even knowing it? Sakura said with authority, but with a little softness in his voice. Sasuke is a lost cause. Don't let your false love for him bring you down. He was met with a blank stare. Her voice was so quiet that Kakashi was barely able to hear. It's not false love. I do love him, so that's why I must save him from himself. Kakashi instantly knew what she was going with. He shook his head slowly. No, Sakura, what you're doing is selfish. To both yourself, as well as Naruto. How do you think he feels? It's not about you as much as you think. Kakashi turned his back on her. He tilted his head to look at her from his side, and said, and even if you do meet him, what makes you think you will be able to beat him? Now, come on, let's go back. As much as she hated it, Sakura nodded. She clenched her fist so hard that a few bones cracked under pressure. She forced herself a smile. Okay, sensei, she gave him a sweet smile, but Kakashi knew otherwise. Kakashi nodded slowly and jumped away with Sakura right behind him. Lee watched the exchange with a mixture of emotions deep within. He slowly nodded to himself, newfound determination wailing up inside of him, and he jumped towards the trees to catch up with them. 3 months later, Valley of the End. Sasuke, you don't know how long I waited for this day to come. The smirk in the raven-haired teen further fueled the annoyance in the blonde's voice. Dobe, you know as well as I do that you won't be able to beat me. Sasuke's smirk grew bigger, if not possible. Naruto merely laughed, which irritated the raven-haired shinobi. What's so funny? You think this is a game? Sasuke's eyes flashed from red to onyx black with every second Naruto's laughter continued. Naruto wiped the tear from his eyes and looked right at the raven-haired shinobi, not afraid to look into his Sharingan eyes. They say that arrogance is poetic. I just realized how right that is. Your arrogance, Sasuke, is outstanding. Naruto smirked as Sasuke's eyes flashed with anger at his remark. As angry as he got, Sasuke stopped. It's okay, Sasuke. Deep breaths. Sasuke smirked, and the annoyance of Naruto returned. All talk, Naruto, but after this, no more. With that, the raven-haired shinobi rushed at the blonde with impressive speed. He disappeared from sight and reappeared right behind the blonde, the smirk in his face still plastered on his face. Naruto was the one who smirked last as he, too, disappeared. Sasuke looked around the area in shock. He was actually surprised at how fast he had gotten so little time. He actually smiled, not his usual smirk, but a smile. Sasuke was smiling, finally a challenge. He caught Naruto's movement from the corner of his eyes and punched his arm forward, knocking the wind right out of him. And with him of all people, my brother. Sasuke ducked under a kick that Naruto threw and gave out his own kick. Naruto tried to dodge while in midair, but he couldn't. Sasuke's foot connected to Naruto's stomach. The blonde-haired shinobi's eyes rolled into the back of his head and gasped. A few cracks were heard as he went flying to Uchiha Madara's statue. Sasuke looked at the crater where Naruto's body went with a smirk. He took out the Senju statue and reappeared in front of the blonde. As he was about to punch him, the blonde-haired shinobi's body burst into smoke. Shadow clones. Sasuke turned his head just in time to see the blonde with it in his hand. You can play it that way. Sasuke formed the 3 hand signs needed for his move, and he grabbed his wrist. His hand shook as electricity started to gather. A ball of lightning appeared, and just as it did, Sasuke put the ball of lightning in front of him. Rasengan, the blonde-haired shinobi yelled out. Chidori. As the blonde won, the raven-haired shinobi shouted out his attack with equal ferociousness. As both attacks almost connected, Sasuke reached out to grab his sword. He was about to slice at him when the Naruto in front of him turned into smoke. Another shadow clone. As Sasuke's attack continued forward, he looked up, and a single was seen coming down on him. His eyes widened as the attack connected to his face. Rasengan, the blonde-haired shinobi shouted in triumph. The force of the attack sent Sasuke flying into the cold water below. The Uchiha pushed chakra into his body as he landed in the river. He got up and glared at the smug blonde one. All wet, eh? Naruto taunted. Fuck you, he responded. Naruto laughed to himself. You know, Naruto began. Now that I think about it, your hairstyle resembles a duck's ass. The way the blonde shinobi said it further pissed the raven one off. But Naruto wasn't done yet. If you put your whole body into the river, only allowing your hair to stick out, I bet you will probably lose fangirls that way. Just make sure you place a mouth in front of your hair, and it'll really look like a duck. Sasuke's face color changed from white to red in a matter of seconds. Anger, frustration, embarrassment, the list goes on and on. Sasuke forced himself to calm down before smirking again. At least I had fangirls. Naruto's eyes widened at his implication. All you had was ramen. Naruto's eyes turned red, and his nails lengthened. You bastard! Naruto jumped down into the ravine below, with the intention to kill him. Make fun of me, okay, but make fun of ramen. You're dead. Sasuke's short verbal victory was cut short as Naruto punched him in the face. He followed up with a back kick, followed by a reverse kick. Sasuke went crashing down into the bottom of the cold water below. The anger inside the raven-haired shinobi reached its all-time high. He channeled a huge amount of chakra into his eyes, and it morphed into his Mangekyo Sharingan. On his left eye he had his brother's pinwheel eye, while in the other he had the Jewish star. His aura turned colder than before, as he blasted a concentrated amount of flames, black flames to be exact, onto the surface. Naruto stood on top of the water, anger flowing through him like a calm river. His ears twitched a bit, and he felt something hot in his feet. He heard a sizzling noise, and added that with the heat he felt, something's burning. He looked down into the bottom of the river just in time to see a huge concentrated blast of black flames racing towards him. Amaterasu. Naruto channeled his red chakra into his legs, and with a burst of speed he disappeared, and reappeared on top of the statue, just as the black flame came flying out the river towards the sky. The black flame stopped and exploded, The black flames turned into tiny black flames, and they hit the ground all around the area. Naruto looked down on the ravine just in time to see his rival stand back up. "You brought this upon yourself, Naruto. If you only let me go, I wouldn't have hated you as much." Sasuke flew through hand signs before exclaiming, "Fire style. Mythical fire phoenix technique." Naruto just stood there as the attacks came onto him. He held his arm out and channeled his blue chakra into his hands. "Rasengan!" he exclaimed. The fire attack hit making the flames go around Naruto in a counterclockwise form. Naruto smirked at his accomplishment, but that was short-lived as Sasuke came from behind with his sword drawn, pointed right at him. "Chidori current!" Sasuke exclaimed. Electricity traveled through his sword and continued to travel even after the sword ended. The electrical sword pierced Naruto's heart, but he burst into smoke again. Shadow clones again. Damn him. A fist to the face brought him out of thoughts and down onto the floor. He tried to stand up, but a huge gust of air blew him away, falling right back into the river. "Shadow clone technique," Sasuke heard from midair. Naruto looked at his clones with seriousness. "You know what to do." The clones nodded and jumped away, leaving only Naruto and Sasuke there. Naruto closed his eyes and took a deep breath. But to Sasuke, it was an open attack. "It's like he wants me to finish him." He smirked at that, but then his face turned cold. "I need more power." To be using Mangekyo so early, Sasuke's hand was suddenly encased in lightning as he shouted, "Chidori Senban!" Tiny electrical needles raced towards the blonde, but he was prepared. A single clone burst with a loud poof and got in between the attack and his boss. He took all the attacks without poofing back into nothing. But Sasuke didn't stop there. Sasuke disappeared with and reappeared behind the motionless blonde. He was prepared to strike him down when Naruto grabbed the blade with his bare hands. He opened his eyes, which resembled that of a toad, and gazed at the struggling shinobi. He snapped his blade in two and threw his blade aside. Sasuke looked at him with wide eyes. That blade was made out of the strongest material in the elemental nations. How can his eyes? An eye bloodline? Sasuke didn't have the time to ponder much as Naruto punched him in the chest. It felt like I was punched by a building." Naruto grabbed the bowing raven by his hair and threw him into the river, hard. Sasuke went spiraling down onto the cold, now hard, water below. A huge blast of water, followed by rain, washed the place away. Sasuke coughed a few times as he heard a shout. "Rasen Shuriken!" Sasuke looked up to see the spinning ball of condensed wind hurling at him. Acting on impulse, Sasuke fired a low-level fire technique on the ball, but the ball absorbed it. But it transformed into a flaming spinning ball with condensed wind around. Sasuke cut off his chakra from his feet, and he went down into the water just when the ball impacted into the spot he was at. The ball exploded in a flash of light and flames. The wind ripped and shredded everything around the area where the ball impacted. The water splashed and splashed until a huge hole in between was ripped through. The force of the water was too much for the raven-haired shinobi, so he tried to swim back up. But the current pushed him further down until his head slammed into a wall hard. He lost his breath in the process, and his lungs filled with water as he tried to breathe. To die like this. He was prepared to shut his eyes, but as he did, his world was blinded by a light. Pathetic. Naruto grabbed the unconscious Uchiha by his hair and pulled him up. He placed the unconscious teen on his right shoulder and left. 46 minutes later, at the Leaf Village entrance gate, Naruto, with the unconscious teen still on his shoulder, walked into the entrance with his head, walked right up to the gatekeepers, and said, "Mission accomplished. Akitsuki is no more." A cheer ran out from the few civilians who heard this. The cheer attracted the rest of the village, and so they checked it out. More and more of the villagers came to see what the commotion was. When there they joined in their fellow villagers' cheer, repeating, "Hero, hero," over and over again. Naruto, with the teen still over his shoulder, grinned like a fox and rubbed his neck nervously. "It was nothing," he said. "I couldn't have done it without my fellow shinobi after all." The crowd cheered louder at his modesty, but a familiar flop of pink hair attracted his attention. "Sakura?" he thought. She burst through the crowd with worry in her eyes. "Where is he?" The crowd stopped as her voice stopped theirs. "I said, where is he?" She was beginning to sound desperate, they realized. She looked around the crowd until she spotted a familiar blonde-haired shinobi with a raven-haired shinobi on his shoulder. She ran up to them both with tears in her eyes. Naruto, expecting a hug, gently laid the down Uchiha onto the floor and opened his arms a bit. But he was extremely disappointed when she ran right past him and onto the floor where the Uchiha was. She hugged his down form, further breaking his heart in the process, and kissed the Uchiha right in the cheeks, not caring about the crowd around them. Naruto looked at her with indifference, but on the inside he was crying. "We have been together for a few months. I thought we had something special." Naruto shook his head to get rid of those thoughts. "No, she will not betray me." He gave one last look at the sobbing pink-haired girl before turning away. Naruto turned around with his head high and walked right through the crowd. Even though the people around him patted him on the shoulders and said what a good job he had done, he felt alone, he felt betrayed. Deep inside him he knew she was lying to him when she told him that she loved him, and now he has to pay for it. Ignorance is bliss. Naruto walked back into his apartment with his head down and his shoulders down. He had a pair of sake on each of his hands and an angry expression on his face. She fucking betrayed me. Tears fell from his angry face, and he quickly slapped his palms onto his face. He slumped down onto the floor and cried, remembering the betrayal she inflicted on him today. Flashback. Naruto turned the corner to walk to the apartment where Sakura moved in a couple of days ago. With flowers in his hands, he was prepared to take her out for dinner again, to treat her like a princess, a queen, a jewel. As he turned, however, he heard a giggle. He laughed to himself. He remembers who giggles like that. Sakura-chan, he thought with a smile, but his smile dropped as he peeked through the open door. Sasuke, giggle, you are? Sasuke continued to attack her stomach, occasionally licking her belly button, as well as tickling her neck with his breath. Naruto's saliva got stuck on his throat as he continued to watch the scene unfold. No, he thought with dread. Give it to me, Sasuke. She practically begged for him. Sasuke gave a single glance to the open door where he caught Naruto's eyes watching their naked forms. He smirked and mouthed a few words that Naruto caught. Of course, Sakura-chan, I'll give it to you all night long. It was too much for the blonde, that he forced himself to look away. He clenched the flowers so hard that they burst into flames. He ran from the scene, with the feeling of betrayal on his back. Flashback ends. Naruto looked up from his slouched position and clenched his fist, remembering the words Sasuke mouthed to him. You beat me, I'll destroy you. Betrayal Part 2. Naruto walked through the streets of Konoha with a cheerful expression on his face. He whistled a few times until his jaw started hurting. He passed several villagers that waved at him happily, and some of his local admirers that wanted an autograph. He signed a few before continuing on his way. As he walked, he bumped into someone when he wasn't looking. Oh, sorry about that. He got up before dusting himself up first. He looked down to see who he bumped into. Hinata. Hinata? Is that you? I haven't seen you since Pains in Vaishoun. He gulped, remembering her confession she told him. How are you? He scratched his neck nervously. Hinata looked up, and her eyes hardened a bit, but she replaced her look with a gentle one. It's him, she thought. Her thoughts are a little darker than usual. She masked her anger, and calmed down a little. Hi Naruto-kun. God, I hate acting like this, but I need to do it. Hinata pressed her fingers together, and looked down, her hair covering her face. Hi Hinata. Naruto stuttered as well. He looked at her, and his eyes softened. Flashback. Because I've always watched you, admired you from a distance. The wind blew in her face, while Naruto looked at her with wide eyes. What is she trying to say? I love you. She rushed forward with speed he did not expect her to possess, and was blown back with twice the force. He heard her scream of pain, and his heart broke. Hinata. Flashback end. I should give her a chance. Hinata slightly looked up to see Naruto's struggling body. Why yes? She stuttered. She mentally gave herself a pat on the back for her performance. How would why you like to get some ramen? It wasn't as easy as it seemed, but he did it. I asked her out. Did he just ask me out? Hinata blinked a little, and lost her composure outside. She gained an angry look, and replied, What did you say? She realized what she said, and how she said it, and because of that she covered her mouth, and looked down onto the ground again. Idiot, how can you dash? I said if you want to go get some ramen. Now it was a little easier to say than last time. Naruto, though, was a little shaken by her outburst. Was she this loud? Hinata blushed, and nodded furiously. Yes, Naruto-kun. It was soft, and almost whispered-like, but Naruto heard her perfectly. He nodded, and grabbed her by the hand. She blushed, for real this time. Oh God, he's holding my hand. She shook her head. No, have to get rid of these feelings. I must have my revenge for what he did to me. Let's go then. He gave her a soft, gentle smile that made her blush again, and led her to the ramen shop, 2 streets down. Naruto grabbed Hinata's soft white hands, and took her out of her seat. He was trying to be romantic, she realized, but he's trying too hard. Fool. Like darkness, her thoughts were. She complied, and allowed him to take her out of her seat. She stood up, and looked at him with a blush. I had a good time, Hinata. He smiled softly at her. She repeated his action, but not as soft as his. He realized this, and frowned. Are you not having a good time, Hinata? He sounded a little defeated, and that made her smile. On the inside, she blushed at his attention, and shook her head furiously. And Naruto-kun, I had a great tea time, she said a little too quickly. Naruto nodded at her response, and led the way to her house. What neither of them noticed was that Ino was looking at them with a downcast expression, and slightly betrayed. Too late, maybe? While walking, Naruto decided to talk, breaking up the uncomfortable silence that hung in the air. Hinata looked at his face. She looked right at his deep sky blue eyes, and promptly lost herself, gazing right in his eyes. Are you? Are you mad at me for not talking to you after Pain's attack? She snapped out of her trance and looked away. Why ask that now? She was starting to get angry, and she didn't want to get angry, or else risk losing her plan. She continued to look down at the ground, neither responding, nor looking back at Naruto's concerns, which slightly hurt Naruto's form. They arrived at the Hyuga compound a few minutes later, with an awkward silence. Naruto looked ahead, while Hinata looked down, both completely out of it, and both lost in their own thoughts. Naruto stopped right in front of the gate. Hinata snapped out of her thoughts, and was prepared to go in when Naruto continued to hold onto her hand. She stopped, and turned to look at him. Hinata? Hinata tilted a little at his tone of voice. Naruto's words were caught in his throat, as he watched Hinata's tilted head under the moonlight. So beautiful. He blinked as he just realized this now. Why did I just realize this now? Do you want to get some ramen tomorrow? Hinata was shocked. She didn't expect him to ask him out again, and for some reason she got all giggly inside. She felt excited. Sure, Naruto-kun. She stuttered for real this time. She realized this, and looked at herself in shock. Naruto cracked a smile, and hugged her. Unexpectedly, she blushed at his touch, and she just responded with a pat on the back, an awkward one. But Naruto was too happy to even notice this, and released her. He pumped his arm up in the air, earning a small giggle from Hinata, and ran off, not without saying goodbye. Hinata waved at his retreating form, and smiled. She thought about the events that occurred today, and blushed, and passed out. 4 months later, Nakatashi District. Naruto walked through the village with a smile on his face. Even though Sakura betrayed him, he was happy to find someone as awesome as Hinata. He walked through the busy streets with his hands inside of his pockets and his head high in the air. He felt as though nothing could stop. Nothing could stop him. He turned the corner, and his jaw dropped. His eyes bulged, and his heart broke once more. Hinata was in the arms of another man. Her lips were meeting the man's lips. She looked happy, happier than when she was with Hinata. Naruto shook his head, and approached the pair, with anger. Hinata! Hinata snapped her head, to see an angry Naruto walking up to her. And the guy. Naruto? She stuttered. Shit! The man realized the situation he was in, and ran. But Naruto didn't care if he ran. He just kept walking up to Hinata, with an angry face. Why? His face changed from angry to betrayed, in an instant. Hinata looked at him, and said, I don't know, something inside of me dash. Why? Naruto pretended that she didn't talk, and repeated the question a little louder this time. Hinata just squirmed under his gaze, and mumbled a few words that he didn't understand, or chose not to. Why? You said you love me. Why? Something inside of her snapped. When Hinata heard him say, You said you love me, she snapped. Something inside her snapped. She snapped her head so fast to look at his form with fury in her lavender pupil-less eyes. Why? 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 She shouted louder than the blonde. The blonde stopped his shout, and listened to her. Because, when I told you that I love you, what did you do? You went with that pink-haired slut. I actually thought that you'd respond, but you didn't. You didn't even talk to me, Boo Dash. His reply was weak. No. Then after she cheats on you with that fucking Uchiha, you come crawling to me. Look, I'm a fucking rebound or something. That's a lie, he shouted back. No, it's true, but you're too stupid to know it. You only stayed with me to fill your own void. You bastard. Why should I stay with a man who doesn't love me? Hinata's eyes blazed with anger, as she continued to spill her heart out. For a while I was happy. I even stopped my plan to kill you. Her voice softened a little, but turned back into anger. But, I realized I was wrong. I should have fucking killed you. I never loved you, and I will never, ever love you. That's why I cheated on you 5 times already. She realized what she said in the end, and covered her mouth. Naruto gasped, and his expression changed. He gave her a blank expression before responding. I see. You only wanted to hurt me. He walked away right there. Hinata tried to say something, but she couldn't. Something was wrong. He turned his back to her and said, For what it's worth, I'm sorry for the pain I caused you without even knowing. He left the district, not bothered about the crowd around them that watched the exchange. Hinata's eyes shimmered, and she fell to her knees. Naruto heard her cry of pain, but his pain was even harder. The pain of betrayal. After 2 times betrayal, Naruto walked to the office. He has entered the office and his paperwork. Damn it, this paper works. It will kill me someday, Tsunade murmurs. She turned to look at the blonde who was standing over the door. Gaki, I'm not in a good mood, so please come another time, Swanda said. But Naruto didn't respond. He still walks forward and stands in front of her desk. Hokage-sama, Naruto said. Tsunade, surprised at the blonde calling him with some respect, stopped her paperwork and turned to Naruto. She recognized 2 things, his emotionless face and the second thing that bothers him. That's why he didn't call him. Hokage-sama, I want some time alone and leave this village for a period of time, Naruto said. Tsunade's eyes widened, then she stared at him. Naruto, don't play with me, I will. But Naruto cut off her bachan, I beg you to give me some time alone, Naruto finally cried. Tsunade was shocked at his reaction, and she got up and hugged him and tried to comfort him. Sure, Naruto-kun, calm down, calm down. Tell me what happened to you and what suddenly happened to you, Tsunade asked. But Naruto continuously cried on her chest. I can tell you, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade turned to see Iruka standing over the door. But it would be between the three of us, Tsunade. Confused but nodded. Tsunade lets Naruto sit on the chair and activate the privacy seals so that no one can hear them. Okay, what happened to Naruto-kun? Tsunade asked. Iruka looked at Naruto and Tsunade-sama. Naruto was continued betray one by one. Tsunade blinked. What do you mean to betray one by one? Iruka explained to Tsunade the whole situation, what happened with Naruto. The whole story was explained to her. Tsunade heard it, and she was shocked after hearing the story. She turned to Naruto and had an emotionless face. If I were in his place, I would definitely run away just like I did in the past. She looked at Iruka again, but I can't live alone. He would never find his love. She blinked. Wait, love? I know the place where he definitely find her women that he love. Tsunade looked at Naruto. It is true what Iruka said to me. Naruto nodded his emotionless face. Tsunade's eyes widened at first, and she never saw any reaction from her blonde hair. That means she was telling the truth. Ragged her mind that she would kill the girls for what they did to his grandchild. She turned to Blonde and saw his sad face, but he came up with an idea. She sat beside him. She took his hand and said, Naruto, as per Hokage, I never gave any shinobi for left his shinobi duties, but there is mission that I know that only you can do, and I will not send you any subordinate. Naruto turned to a small smile over lips. Okay, what kind of mission? Bachan. Tsunade smile. I sent you to Tokyo in the capital city. First, if you reach there and report me, then I should tell you about your mission. Naruto nodded. He stood up and left the room without saying anything. What kind of mission do you give him? And without any subordinate, Iruka asked. In this mission, Naruto definitely finds what he was searching, Tsunade said while Yuka was confused about what she meant. Namikaze Uzumaki. Naruto, Toad Sage and Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko, was sitting in a bus, quietly waiting for the ride to reach its destination. There was no one else on board except for him and the bus driver, who was smoking a cigar. Staring out and looking at the window, he couldn't help but admire the beauty of the countryside and the clear blue sky, and started to feel at ease because of the warm sunlight. Today is a good day, he thought. Are you that new person the Hokage told me about? The bus driver suddenly asked, snapping him out of his thoughts. Yes, I am, Naruto said. Thank you, Bachan, you're great. I think I could recover my after what Sakura and Hinata done to me. If Bachan is not old enough, I would really love to see her. Naruto blinked, blushed appear over his face. Damn it, Naruto, what you're thinking. She is like my godmother. I can't think like that. Naruto was dropped off in front of a bus stop in the capital city with a pumpkin head. He was wearing a black strapped 8, with the symbol of Konoha engraved on the metal, and his sage clothes. In his the scroll on his back was carrying a suitcase and bag. Dropping his bag and suitcase, he started to remember the mission that Bachan Gondane gave. This scroll, it has ninja equipment and other SD. Naruto stands at the bus stop of the city of the capital. Naruto's other things like food supply, new elemental scroll, his clothes and vice versa are covered in his backpack. He was wearing a pair of dark blue jeans and black boots, a form-fitting white sleeveless t-shirt, a black sleeveless haori with a hood, a pair of black fingerless gloves and an armband with the symbol of a leaf on a metal plate wrapped around his left bicep. He received many odd looks, both because even though he was technically from this region of the world, he didn't look Japanese at all. When most people saw him, they normally assumed he was American due to his blue eyes and brightly colored hair. The other thing that grabbed people's attention and caused the unusual stares was the haori, since it was pretty warm during the season, along with the fact that most people simply didn't wear more traditional clothing like that nowadays. Not that the looks he received would cause him to change the style he had been wearing for most of his life. So what do I do now? He wondered as he slowly made his way back to his apartment. Do I go home and try something else, or do I stay here in Tokyo and give it one more go? Hey, move it! An angry woman shouted. Naruto just had time enough to turn around to spot the incredible sight of two women running at him in matching leather S&M gear. Running past, he was knocked down by the one in the violet outfit without seeming to even be noticed. Gomen, the second girl, the one in the pink leather, shouted to him from over her shoulder. She then turned to the other girl. Why did we attack a single number? We're going to get killed. I didn't know she was number 9. I just thought she was another unwinged one. Naruto watched blankly as they vanished around the corner. What was that about? He got back up to his feet. What the hell? Do these women have powers? And they are so cute? Look out! A woman screamed. He looked around but couldn't spot who was shouting at him. He then noticed a shadow falling on him and looked up, right into a pair of white panties. Once again, Naruto found himself lying on the sidewalk. He was momentarily dazed by the impact. As he regained his senses, he realized there was a heavy weight on top of him. He also realized he was looking up into those same white panties that were only a couple inches from his nose. Excuse me? The woman who was on top of him quickly got to her feet and began looking around the now empty street. Where did those two go? She demanded. She then focused her attention on him, glaring angrily. Why didn't you get out of my way? Naruto was dumbstruck as he sat there on the cold ground looking up at her. Naruto was speechless at women. He forgot what happened to him, but he continued looking at her. Even with the anger in her face, she was easily the most beautiful woman he had ever laid eyes on. She could be a model or an actress. She had on high leather boots, black leggings that went about halfway up her thigh, a small white dress that barely went below her nether regions and revealed a lot of her ample bosom, and a long black cape that included long sleeves and a collar. She had long blonde hair draped down well past her shoulders and the clearest blue eyes. She was an absolutely stunning woman. Being captivated by her beauty, he failed to notice as her features darkened. But she was more beautiful than Sakura and cute like Hinata. Hey, what the hell are you staring at, you damn monkey? She grabbed him by the collar and yanked him up off the ground with just one hand. She brought his face up close to hers. What's the big idea staring at me, huh? Have you got something to say, monkey? I'm sorry for staring. It's just that you hesitated to continue. I'm what? She growled. He swallowed. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. In that instant, Tsukumi felt a flash of intense heat consume her entire body. Her heart began to pound and a momentary weakness she had never felt before struck. She let go of him and stumbled back a couple steps as though he had physically hit her. What? She clutched a hand over her chest. What is this feeling? Seeing her face turn red and begin to shake, Naruto took a step towards her. Are you alright? As he got closer, she felt the heat in her body rise. Her eyes widened and she let out a gasp as she realized what it had to be. Her body was reacting to him. That could only mean he was. You bastard, she growled and drew herself up to her full height, ignoring her body's momentary weakness. You're him, you've come here to take my body. What? In the next instant, Naruto was somehow drenched. Even though it was a clear day, a deluge hit him, and only him, leaving him completely soaked. And before he could even react, she had grabbed him again by the collar and begun violently shaking him back and forth. You bastard, she shouted. I'll never let you take control of my body. I'll kill you first. What? Control your body? I would never even think to do something like that. Liar. She momentarily stopped shaking him and again brought his face towards hers. That's what I'll do. They take control of a sekirei and use them in whatever sick, perverted way they want. Wait. I don't know what it is, but I swear I would never treat a woman that way. I would always treat a woman with respect and kindness, and in return they betray me. I would never even think to order you to do things, not even if you were my wife. Her heart began to race even faster, and she felt a surge of excitement at hearing that. You bastard! How dare you! What? Naruto didn't understand how the hell he'd gotten in this situation. Everything he said seemed to make this woman even more angry with him. How dare you, a lowly monkey, propose to me? What? Propose? But I didn't think he was cut off. She began to shake him violently back and forth again. Shameless, shameless, shameless. To just say such a thing to a helpless woman like that. Do you think I would ever agree to such a thing? But I didn't. She brought him to a sudden stop. Still holding him with one hand, Naruto saw a ball of water appear above the palm of the other, as if by magic. I know what I have to do now. I'm going to have to kill you to protect myself. Kill me? He gasped. Is she serious? What the hell is going on here? Wait. I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding here. She launched the water at Naruto and dodged the water with his great speed, as far a ninja could easily do, but as per normal human can't. Tsukumi's eyes widened at blonde speed, but she again attacked her. Now, Tsukumi, don't you think you're going a little overboard? Tsukumi looked up to see a masked figure decked in black sitting on a roof edge above her. We're not supposed to involve civilians, remember? Hamura reminded her. This is different. This bastard is the one who wants to shamelessly ravish my body. Hamura lifted one very interesting eyebrow. Really? So you finally found your? Congratulations. This isn't something to be happy about. He just wants to take control of me and then have his way with me whenever he wants. Kind of sounds like fun, doesn't it? He teased me. Her face turned a very deep red as she sputtered, trying to answer that. Excuse me? Naruto spoke up carefully. He was still being held by an irate Tsukumi. I really don't understand what's going on here, but I swear I don't have any intention of taking advantage of her. She was a beautiful and strong woman, but what she was looking at was a good man that was not me. Hamura raised his eyebrow and read the expression blonde face, so he was betrayed by his lover, but I saw he was betrayed many times. But I guess Tsukumi is the perfect one for her. Can I please just go? Absolutely not, Tsukumi snapped. If I do that, you'll just attack me later. And how exactly is he supposed to do that? Hamura asked curiously. You could probably snap him in half with one arm. He looked over at Naruto. If she lets you go, do you promise to never try and have your way with her? Yes. I swear. Hamura sent her a questioning look. Alright, she at last let go of him. I had better never see you again. Drenched and shaken, he stumbled back. Before leaving though, he gave her a very deep bow. Even though I don't know what happened, if I did anything to offend you, I sincerely apologize for it. He walked away. She is really good for you, kid, shut up. Do you think I can trust her after what Sakura and Hinata have done to me? I want it to happen again. Hamura noted the way Tsukumi's eyes never left him as he fled. Even after he was gone from sight, she remained rooted to the spot, staring in the direction he had left. You know, Hamura said casually, I don't blame you for not wanting anything to do with him. I mean, that guy is pretty homely. What? She snapped angrily. He is not. He is very handsome. Hamura didn't say another word. He just looked at her as she slowly blushed again. Idiot, she shouted and leapt away. Whether she was referring to her rival or herself, she didn't know. It has been 2 weeks after being betrayed by Sakura and Hinata. It was very bad for his health. Naruto's will of fire is scattered because of them. He does not get nice sleep while the nightmare always comes to mind. He should not go through the force of love with someone, but he knew the true love would never be felt. Why? Why does this always happen to me? I only want to love women, he said silently. He never easily forgot the betrayal. This betrayal affected his mind so badly that it was impossible to forget those memories. Naruto has tried to forget about them, but this incident is not forgotten so easily for him. Kid, are you alright? You did not look very well. You didn't forget them, did you? Naruto growled at him. Fox, please shut up. I don't want to face you right now, Naruto said, but he calmed down the fox. I'm sorry about that. Would you please leave me alone? Kid, I know it, but I'm sorry that all things happen because of me. Naruto smiled. He really care his container, but why don't you move for someone who care for deeply in you? Naruto smiled and sighed. First, Fox, I don't think this was your fault. It was Madara. And Fox, I promise you I gave you freedom. And your second option, then what happened? If she knew about you, she would betray me just like Hinata did with me. And other thing, I can't trust any girl who used my love and again betray me just same as Sakura. Will you really give me your freedom? But you knew if I was free. Then Naruto interrupted him. Then I died, but I didn't mind. Let's quit the subject, Naruto said, and he moved forward. It's been 2 weeks that Tsunade hasn't contacted him. As far as earning money, he got the work near the construction area. Alright, you can knock off now. Naruto nodded appreciatively to the foreman and headed to the tool shed to turn in his shovel. It had been a week since he betrayed his love, so he decided to try to forget about them and focus on his work. After he got to mission, he stayed away from Konoha, but he didn't have enough money to spend his way in Tokyo. That meant if he wanted to make ends meet even in his meager lifestyle, he would have to find some work. For a change, he'd actually had some good luck and found this construction job that he could work part-time around his ninja training. The job was temporary, but good enough for the next few months. Hey, see you later, kid. A coworker called, and with a friendly wave. See you tomorrow, Seo-san, Naruto called back. Seo was an older and more laid-back person. Naruto liked him largely because, unlike himself, Seo never seemed too worried about anything. With work over, Naruto headed for the nearest metro station to head back to his apartment. As he did so, he already knew that the blonde-haired women were on watch. He sighed. He didn't want to respond to her. He already decided himself not to talk to any women if he got any. From a nearby rooftop, Tsukumi saw him leaving his work. She had been following him all day from the time he left his apartment this morning. She had trailed him as he went to the cram school this morning and then hurried off to a few hours of manual labor. I wonder if he'll be working again tomorrow, she thought. I like seeing him work up a sweat. Just what are you up to? A voice whispered in her ear. Yeah. She jumped and turned about. A fully formed water blade extended out of her right hand. Hamura had leapt back just in time to avoid it. Touchy, he noted. Hamura, have you come here to have a match? She demanded. Nothing like that, he said, putting his hands up. Though you should be a little more careful. If I were wanting to fight, I could have shoved you off the roof without you even noticing. What's going on with you? You're not usually so oblivious. Nothing's going on, she said a bit too defensively. Oh really? He said and sauntered over to the roof's edge to peer down. Hey, is that you're down there? What if it is? She demanded and crossed her arms. Have you talked to him? Of course not. Why on earth would I want to talk to a monkey like him? Well then, why are you following him? Because I want to make sure he's no threat to me. Hamaru stared at her. Don't misjudge him, Tsukumi. He not like average man like other. Hamaru watched back down to Naruto. He is different. What do you mean? You know, you tried to attack him and he hit every water bullet. Hamaru looked back to water Sekirei. Such humans don't possess the type of speed to dodge your attack. He suffered pain that showed his face. Well, like betrayal by more than one person. She was shocked at his words. After you followed him, you didn't notice his sad face and did not like to talk to anybody with a free open mind. This happened only when your love betrayed you. She couldn't help but understand his words. She noticed his saddened face. Tsukimi inwardly hurt whenever he saw his saddened face. I see you do not understand, Hamura deadpanned. Well, maybe I should go down there and have a word with him, find out what his intentions are. He made it as if to leap down. He was not surprised when she grabbed his arm. Don't you dare. Oh, and why not? You might scare him off. Would that be a bad thing? You don't want anything to do with him, right? I mean, he's just a worthless monkey. Hey, Tsukumi shouted furiously. Don't call him that. Didn't you just call him that a minute ago? She grumbled a bit but didn't actually have an answer. You should stop wasting time and just make him yours already. Never. I'll never let anyone take control of me. If you think it's so wonderful, why haven't you gotten winged yet? He shrugged. I've been looking. I've met plenty of women, and even kissed a number of them, but so far no luck. He looked away unhappily. It's possible given the unusual nature of my body there may not be anyone who can bait me. Why do you want it? Tsukumi asked. This was an old disagreement between them, but she had never really asked him his reasons before. Why would you let someone else control you? Well, that's the thing, he replied. I don't believe I would be. I don't think a sekirei becomes a puppet just by being winged. Rather, I think the relationship is really like a marriage. There'll be give and take and maybe one person will be more dominant. But the conditions of the relationship will be worked out by the two. I believe when the bond between a sekirei is made that they enter each other's hearts and can develop a closeness unlike any other relationship. That's the reason I want to find myself. Not to become more powerful, but to find someone I can be that intimate and trusting with. I want someone who will enter my heart while I enter theirs. Tsukumi listened silently. Well, that's what I think anyway. I'll see you later. After he left, she remained there on that rooftop silently pondering her rival's words and her own strange feelings. But she will continue to follow him. Naruto was entered to park. He sees that many children was playing small games. He reminds that his childhood not very good. He played only Shikamaru and was nice with was walking straight path. He was look well. Almost. There was one woman sitting on the park bench. What Naruto thought was an old shop he had gone to as a child. One look at her, and he saw only one thing. Haku. The image shifted though and Naruto once more began seeing and thinking clearly. This was not Haku as Naruto had thought before. In fact, there were barely any similarities to them at a physical level. There was something about this young woman though. She had short, light brown hair, and wore a dreamy, yet equally sad expression on her face. She seemed to not have on much more than a blood-stained lab coat. But her oddest feature was the red mark on her forehead. Hey, what are you doing out here dressed like that for? He asked. She merely moved her gaze to him. But for a second, Naruto thought he saw the release of the barest gas. Ashikabi? She whispered, making Naruto raise his brow. That blonde woman is also called that word. Ashikabi? Is that your name? My name is Naruto, he said. The girl still looked depressed, but at least he had gotten her interest. My name? Naruto looked at her while she was speaking. My name, she continued. Akitsu. Akitsu? That's a cool name. Now though, why are you out here dressed like that? Are you trying to get sick? He asked, but received no answer. Come on, you can't just ignore me, he said. It's impolite. Naruto watched, astounded as she seemed to think about what he said and found herself agreeing. But she too had a question. Why are you talking to me? She asked. Why? Should I not be? He asked back. I just think you're interesting. You remind me of someone I once knew, an old friend. But I am not your friend, replied Akitsu. I am merely a tool without a purpose. A weapon without a wielder. I am useless. Naruto's eyes softened. Now Akitsu was definitely beginning to sound like Haku. I have no home, she said in a voice that was so broken. Because I am broken, I'm a failure. Naruto looks at her though that he was in his past childhood. Naruto sit besides women and said, why you think such that way? I don't think you are weak. Women jerk up and look at Naruto. You don't know what happened to me in my life, and if you tried to win me then you waste your time, Akitsu said in a cold tone. Wing her? What the hell she talks about? Naruto looked at her, eyes hurt and in pain. So tell me what happened to you and why you think you are broken. Sekirei, Naruto said. Women came back into a depressed mode. My name is Akitsu. I am an alien and I live on a spaceship. The ship isn't in space though. It crashed here on Earth hundreds or thousands of years ago. Physically I look like a 12-year-old, but I may be older than recorded human history. Most of my existence was spent in suspended animation. The ship crashed into the ocean and remained there for an untold number of years until the island of Kamakura rose up out of the sea. It was then discovered by our current owner, Hiroto Minaka. Naruto finally found out how the Sekirei were born and Pakistan continued his story. I've met him a few times, a very strange and excitable man. He has boundless energy, and even more boundless imagination. I don't think Takahito likes him very much. Minaka is the one who gave my race the name, Sekirei. It's not our real name of course, but since no one knows what we're really called, it's as good a name as any other. Somewhere out in space is the world my people come from. The world where this ship was constructed and launched from and from which my parents conceived me. But where among all the stars this world might be, the reason why they sent a spaceship with 108 life forms to Earth, or whether or not my race even still exists out there, none of this is known. I don't suppose any of it really matters. Wherever it was I and this ship came from, Earth is the only world I will ever know. I only hope that someday I get to know more of it than just this barren rock. When I was 15 I finally left Kamakura Island. They put me on an MBI helicopter and flew me all the way to Tokyo. In MBI Tower I was given a luxurious apartment with a view overlooking the whole city. But I wasn't allowed to leave the building. Small flashback with Akitsu. Will I have any someday? Takahito looks uncomfortable. I have a sekrie crest on my forehead. I was winged through an injection that contained various strands of DNA. I am a winged sekrie without any. Thanks to my experience, Takahito says he will be able to perfect the winging system for the others. When the sekrie plan goes into effect, each of them will be able to make a special connection to one particular human. There. But what about me? I want to know if I can have one, Akitsu says. I'm sorry, Takahito answers. Each sekrie can be winged only once. So no, I'm afraid you won't be able to. Hearing him confirm that makes me very unhappy. It's just one more thing that has been taken from me. I see. I answer him like always, revealing nothing of what I feel. Takahito looks very sad. Flashback end. I was taken into the lab to do an experiment on the means that they found that each sekire can be winged only once. But he said the tears came down from Akista's eyes and carefully listened to Akista's next words. From behind the benches, in the bushes, Tsukumi listened to all the conversation with him and discarded Sekirei. She was angry about his future as was sitting with another woman, and she was sad about Akitsu and his life story. I never found my Ashikabi. Akitsu shouted, a single tear coming from her eye. Naruto froze at her speech. He clenched his fist and came to his mind when he heard Akitsu's story. I don't care about any power and this stupid Sekirei plan. All I want is someone who cares about me, Akitsu cried. Naruto's eyes was widened when he heard this broken Sekirei just want who care herself he about reminds his own situation. He tried to work hard that the people recognized him after the pains fight people finally able to understand him. Naruto smiled as he put her hands over her shoulder and made the women look at him. You know you're not the only one getting love. Akitsu turned to Naruto with a sad smile showing her. What do you mean? Naruto turned to her and sighed because I'm suffering the same fate as you were suffering without any hesitation. Naruto told Akitsu his story about how Sakura and Hinata used his love and betrayed him. Akitsu and Tsukumi's eyes widened as they heard his story. While Tsukumi heard this story, her inner rage was raised tenfold. Now I get why Tsukumi was so sad all the time. Tsukima looked at blonde guy and tried to speak with, but she stopped. Hey, you're 2 steps away from the Sekirei, she will be mine. Came a voice that Naruto knew belonged to a spoiled rich brat. When Naruto and Akitsu turned to the source, they saw a boy surrounded by 2 people who Naruto guessed were other Sekirei. What do you mean by she is yours, brat? Naruto stand up, his eyes turned into red because his behavior and tone is remind him his first betrayal. Girl Sakura Hinata, who always claimed for Sasuke, is this. And Sasuke is that. After I heard Akitsu words, I think last time I checked, Sekirei get to choose who their Ashikabi is, and you are not supposed to force them to awaken, Naruto exclaimed, getting the broken Sekirei and water Sekirei to look at him in admiration. Oh really? Well, sorry to tell you this, but when I want something I take it and crush all who stand in my way. I am Hayato Mikagami, also known as the Ashikabi of the South, the boy said as he stepped into the light since it became pitch black. Mikagami is a 15-year-old boy with a slim frame and is of average height. He has brown hair and is wearing a white formal suit usually worn by wealthy people of this time. Kyubi, this guy is really pissed me off. Naruto gritted his teeth in anger. This guy's is remind me that pink hair bitch and his lover Sasuke. What have you been waiting for? You kick his ass, but don't try to kill him. We don't want trouble. You know. Naruto frowned. Okay, I get it. Hayato-sama, is this guy bothering you? Can I kill him? The male Sekirei holding a sword that stood next to Mikagami said. What, are you serious, Matsu? But he is just a human. Why do you wasting your time on him? Get the Sekirei and bring her with us. Mikagami asked. We can collected her as our collection. Hayato was carefree person because Matsu, who was one of the original 5. You blonde kid, it better to stay away from our business, otherwise do not underestimate me. I am Sekirei number 5 Matsu, and I shall force you to kill you, the former discipline squad member says. Seriously, I will take on that little wench, this hottie, said the female Sekirei who came with the South's Ashikabi and also carried a scythe. Hi there, I'm number 43 Yomi, the girl said as she leered at Akitsu with a perverted look in her eyes. She doesn't win because she discarded Sekirei, but she useful for my collection. And kid, why are you wasting your time on her? Mikagami exclaimed in an excited voice. Akitsu fell on his face and Naruto didn't know why, but he was angry at his words. He clenches his fist and is ready to fight to Sekirei. Hey girl, would you like to be my Sekirei? If you want, I can be your and give you stay nice place to stay. Broken Sekirei in his eyes look hopes that she would have got his, but before she answers it would be cut by Naruto. Akitsu and doesn't take his offer. He will use you as a tool for a certain time. Naruto turned to Akitsu and gave her a smile. You told me that you want to be someone who cares about you. How can you accept his offer? It will nothing to see you as a tool. He grabbed her cheek. His left hand. Akitsu looked at blonde blue eyes. And you're not a broken tool, Akitsu. I 100% sure a nice guy wants a beautiful woman like you. Naruto gave her fox grinned. Akista's eyes widened and her face blushed. The first time someone told her nice words besides Takahito. Tsukumi's smile at blonde guy was nice and talkative, but it was seen that the blonde was in danger, but she suddenly felt the surrounding air turn to boil. What the happening here? Matsu ran past Naruto and made to grab Akitsu only to get slapped back by a powerful blow that came out of nowhere. Mikagami and Yomi both gasped at what had happened while the broken number and water Sekirei eyes widened in disbelief. Naruto, who now stood in front of Akista, looked deep into her eyes, showing her his determination to protect and what he intended to do with her if she wanted. I won't let you hand her over. Naruto reminded Sakura and Hinata that made getting more angry. I protect her from you filthy bastards. Naruto look at Matsu. His ragged has came up, lost his temper. He activates Sage mode plus ragged mode. Addition, Naruto takes out the long katana, which is mother signature. Hayato's eyes widened at how he summoned the katana nowhere. Matsu stood up and rubbed his cheek. So you wanna fight me, huh? He took out his katana and got ready for the fight. Matsu dropped his stance slightly and held his hands to his sides. Naruto unsheathed his blade and held it at the ready. Again Yomi entered both of them, took a deep breath and closed her eyes. He channeled power into his fingers and tapped in her weapon. Wind instantaneously appeared in his hands and he snapped his eyes open, revealing his fully matured power flowing in her eyes. She flung them at the blonde across from him. Naruto just looked impassively at the rain of steel coming towards him. His enhanced instincts kicked in and he began to block the incoming death stars. Yomi was sending an insane amount of wind slashes his way and he knocked her wind with his own wind shuriken. Hayato, water Sekirei and broken Sekirei eyes widened during their fights. You two fight very well, Naruto compliment, but I won't let you hand on Akista for being your tools. Akista raised her eyebrows. She felt the different feeling coming inside her heart. He defend me, but why? Akista blinked. She reminds Naruto words what he told. Because we're suffering the same fate. Akista turned into a blonde. Naruto-kun, please be safe, she murmured. Shut up and fight, Matsu yelled. Naruto was busy swatting away the harmless wind air slash when he noticed something different about them. Matsu katana were glowing blue aura and sparked wildly when they made contact with his sword. He quickly deduced that Matsu was using Sekirei power and charged his own sword with wind chakra. Yomi now, Matsu yelled. Naruto blinked and turned to Yomi. Yomi saw that he wasn't making any ground, so she quickly flipped through her weapon. Take this wind slash, she called as she shot a burst of wind slash from her blade. Naruto had just blocked wind slash hurtling towards him. She pumped even more wind chakra into his sword and delivered a vertical slice straight down the middle, easily splitting it in half. He swung the blade and the same wind slash appeared and was thrown toward the Yomi. Yomi's eyes widened and she barely dodged the attack. Yomi doesn't fight. I can handle this fight. Matsu smirked at having caught the blonde off guard, but it quickly disappeared when he realized he had been blocked. Matsu quickly swung his free hand toward Naruto's face only for it to be grabbed by the blonde's open palm. The two stood there pressing against one another, blade against blade, fist against hand, trying to overpower each other. Matsu's expressionless face met with Naruto's disinterested look. Matsu felt Naruto gaining the upper hand, so cutting his losses, he pushed off and back flipped away. Naruto had always been the stronger of the two while Matsu was the fastest. Naruto took this time to twirl his sword in his hand into his familiar unorthodox reverse grip and entered his battle stance. Matsu noticed the change in stance and readjusted himself into his usual stance. After a silent moment, the two rushed at each other, meeting head to head in a fierce sword battle. This guy is Sekirei or not? How can he be stronger and faster at the same level as 01 or thoughts? I never, though I fight him so longer. Naruto and Matsu clashed as they met in the middle. Naruto swung low at Matsu's ankles only for the Sekirei to leap up and send a downward slash his way. Naruto sidestepped the strike and swung his sword arm around in an attempt to decapitate his friend. Matsu ducked at the last second and tried to split his rival in half with a side swipe to the stomach. Naruto parried his strike, and in the split second that the Sekirei was off guard, he delivered a roundhouse kick to Matsu's chest that sent him flying. Matsu recovered in midair and grimaced as he skidded to a stop. The blonde's strength was ridiculous. He didn't have much time to rest as Naruto was immediately in his face again, trying to knock his head off his shoulders with a spinning axe kick. Matsu avoided the kick but barely had time to register the silver blade flying at his neck right afterwards. Matsu parried the blade mere inches before it struck his jugular. He pushed off Matsu's sword and began his counterattack. They swiped at each other repeatedly but were at a stalemate. Every swing was either blocked, parried, or dodged completely. The rhythmic sound of clanging metal echoed throughout the room. With their swordsmanship being on the same level, they were going nowhere fast. Matsu parried another of Naruto's strikes, but instead of retaliating with his own, Matsu glanced at Akista, who disappeared, meaning he had no way to fight. He sighed as he put down his katana. Sorry, but I stopped this fight for now. Naruto, Hayato and Yomi blinked at his question. What happened to you, Matsu? Why didn't you kill him? Sorry, but our target ran away. It was a waste of our time to fight, and Hayato looked back where Akitsu disappeared. Naruto smiled as Akitsu ran away. Hey guy, Naruto turned back to Mutsu. Your sword's skill, strength, and defense is really impressive. I like the sekrie like you. In the future you got you, then it would be fun to fight in the battlefield. So goodbye, Mutsu said as he appeared by Mikigami, lifting him up onto his shoulders, who was shaking in fear. Come Yomi, we are leaving, he said as he leaped away. Hearing this made Yomi angry as she was in a state of denial about the power output. Well, I will let you go this time, but the next time we meet I will kill you and the bastard Ashikabi of yours, but you're really hot sekire I ever got so by the scythe wielder exclaimed as she leaped after Mutsu and her Ashikabi. Naruto's jaws opened. Even though I'm sekire, and he likes me. What the hell problem is that man is gay? He heard the Kyuubi were laughing at him. Shut up Fox, I never thought I found out fan who is guy. Sorry Kit. But those ridiculous thoughts, ha 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 ha. Kyuubi laughed. But that doesn't matter. How do you feel now? I felt really better in that fight. I saved someone's love and I was really happy. That Kyuubi smiled, but he knew that he would never find his own happiness. That is why he is inwardly sad. Let's go home. I'm little tired. Naruto had just taken a warm bath and was dressed in his pajamas. He was about to make some instant ramen for dinner and was going to sleep on his futon. The tiny two-bedroom apartment was a mess with books and old work papers lying around. Not that it matters, I suppose. It's not likely I'll be inviting any girls here anytime soon. Well, anyway, I'll probably never meet a girl like that again. I wonder if that's a good thing or bad thing. Despite getting shaken half to death, there was just something about that girl Akitsu and the angry water women he couldn't get out of his mind. But he would not have the guts to confess his love after all the betrayal. It wasn't just that both of them were beautiful and sexy. Then Sakura and Hinata had this really weird sense that there was some kind of connection between them. Well kid, finally thinking about that water and broken sekire who called herself Akitsu. Naruto couldn't help but smile. He was thinking about the girls after he fought with Mutsu and first meeting with water sekire. They never went on his thoughts. Guess you are right, Fox, but what can I do? Both of them are really beautiful. Then Sakura and Hinata. I bet no one woman can stand in front of them. Suddenly he felt Kyuubi growling at him. Fox, what happened to you? Kyuubi has given him an angry glare. Never mind. Why don't you confess to them? Naruto was silent, and he didn't answer his question. Kyuubi sighed. He knew what his answer was. I don't know what I should confess to them or not, but if they accept me, I would be really happy, but I can't propose both of them. It would betray one of them, and that is the reason that I can't confess. But what if something happened good and both of them accepted and share you? Then I would be most pleasure to Kami to gave me goddess like them. There was a loud knock on his door. Coming, he called out. That had to be his landlord. He was the only one who ever came to see him, and had got into this annoying habit of checking up on him at random intervals. What can I do for you, landlord? He asked as he opened the door. He froze when he saw it wasn't his landlord after all. As if being summoned here by his thoughts, the strange blonde and broken sekire, she wearing the normal clothes, were standing there looking back at him. Well? She asked impatiently. Are you going to invite us in or not? He blinked at her. For a second he wondered if he might have fallen asleep during the bath and was having a dream. Please come in. With a curt nod she strode into his small apartment. She halted in the middle of the room and stared at the mess that seemed to be everywhere. This place is a pigsty, she declared loudly. No, a pig would be disgusted by this. Kudasai, he said as she shut the door and desperately began picking up some of the things on the floor. I wasn't expecting company. What is she doing here? Why is she acting like this is normal? Who is she? Akitsu came and hugged Naruto that he was alright. Naruto broke the hug and was glad that Akitsu was alright. Akitsu, I'm glad you're alright, Naruto said. Naruto couldn't help but feel very comfortable around her. He didn't know why, but she glanced at the kitchenette that was a part of the room and saw a styrofoam cup of instant ramen. She pointed to it angrily. Is that supposed to be dinner? Don't you know if you don't have a proper nutritious meal your health will suffer? He stopped picking things up and just looked at her curiously. What? She snapped. Being this close to him, her body was heating up and her heart was fluttering in her chest. And the way he was staring at her was making her feel self-conscious. I'm very sorry, but who are you? I also know about Akitsu. I met her in the park, but I didn't recognize you. She stared at him a moment. Her mouth thinned a bit, and for the very first time Naruto saw an expression on her face other than anger. That's right. We've never actually introduced ourselves, have we? She sounded slightly amused. She stood straight and jerked a thumb towards her chest. I am Tsukumi, sekire number 9, the water sekire. I'm Akitsu, sekire number 7, the ice sekire, she introduced. Naruto nodded politely. I am very pleased to meet you, Tsukumi-san. Akitsu-san, I am Uzumaki Naruto. Both of them nodded. And a part-time construction worker. He stared at her. How do you know about that? I have been following you for the past week. What? He said, shocked as if he knew that someone followed her. But he didn't notice she was following her. While Akitsu glared at her, she frowned at him. Well, what would you expect? After your proposal I had to find out about you, didn't I? What proposal? He saw her go from calm to furious in 1.2 seconds. She grabbed him by the top of his pajamas and brought his face within a couple inches of hers. Hey, don't you dare try and take it back. You said you would never order me around, even if I was your wife. You said that, didn't you? Yes, but how is that a proposal? She flattened her eyes dangerously. It was a promise of how you would treat me as a wife, which is the same thing as a proposal. It is? He wondered. He didn't dare say that though. He definitely thought those words in this situation would lead to his immediate death. I would love to be married to a woman like you. And what do you intend to do with the memories of your past girlfriend who gave it to you and play with your kindness and throw you like a shit? Grow up, man. If you want a happy life, then you can't stay with your past, you must move on. I don't want to see your damn sad face. You knew will it hurt me as I see my man who I love my whole heart. Naruto saw her eyes suddenly widen and her cheeks turn a deep red. She let go of him and turned her eyes down. Akitsu came to his side and placed his hands over his cheek. Naruto-kun, we both suffered the same fate. I was a little happy that the first time someone approached me and stood by my side tried to protect me. And that is why I fell in love with you, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto's eyes again widened at Akitsu's speech. He glanced at both of them. Naruto-kun, I asked you one thing, why you didn't choose Akitsu. You would have advantage if you can use her anytime. That's why I won't accept her. Both Akitsu and Tsukumi blinked at him. Akitsu is a really beautiful and powerful woman, or Sekirei. She has a nice body that anyone can attract. But after my previous love, I was being betrayed by two girls who were the same. But I'm not that type of guy who used the girl and threw it. And if I did, what is the difference between me and that Hayato guy? Akitsu, I can give you all my blessing and love, but I am afraid that you would bore me and go with another guy, and you would leave me just like them. I never do that, Akitsu shouted at full of his lungs. Naruto and Tsukumi were shocked when they felt the room temperature was brought down several degrees. She grabbed his shoulder. I never do that in Naruto-kun. I want your love. You and I suffer the same fate. In fact, we Sekirei never left our love. Tsukumi came up and slapped him again. I told you. It's your life, and if you want to be happy, then you have to move. That girl can't control your life. Naruto's eyes widened. She was right. If he wanted to be happy, he had to move on. She is right, I can't depend on those girls. I'm really stupid. Thank you, girls, Naruto said. If I could, I would make both of you mine and never let you go. She seemed to have calmed down now. With any luck, he could talk to her without being shaken again and find out just what was going on here. I would make you mine and never let you go. Those words filled her and Akitsu's heart with a sudden immense joy. They made her knees weak and made her heart thrum near to bursting. It's strange, she said and looked into his face. Her own face was calm and accepting. What is? Naruto and Akitsu blinked. Up until now, my heart has always been filled with rage at the idea of accepting him. But now it's at peace. Her sea-deep eyes were staring into his eyes. She placed both hands gently on his cheeks. I think I must have been looking for you all this time. From now on, Naruto, I am the only one allowed to hurt or kill you. What do you mean? He could feel his own heart racing. Her touch and the way she was looking at him had him starting to shake. She slowly leaned in. I accepted your proposal, she whispered, and touched her lips to his, sealing their contract. Her body was consumed by fire hotter than Hamura could ever hope to create. There was a light filling the room as the image of wings appeared and a crest came into being between her shoulders. All her strength seemed to leave her, and she leaned against him. She felt his arms take firm hold of her. The way he held her, she was sure he would protect her from anything. It felt wonderful to be in those arms. For Naruto, the kiss had caught him wholly by surprise. He inwardly felt his mind and power flow smoothly like water. His mind would be healed by Tsukumi's water ability. It would feel very strange. Her lips were soft and sweet, and this kiss was well worth all the shaking and threats of death. He didn't understand the meaning of the strange light, or the wings though. When the kiss ended, she placed her head against his neck and sighed contentedly. Tsukumi-san, what just happened? Just call me Tsukumi, she told him. You have become my. This is a union between us that shall last now and forever. He really didn't understand what she was talking about. Ashikabi? Now and forever? Naruto smiled and looked back at Akitsu and stood in front of her. Akitsu, I know that you broke Sekirei and no one would wing you, but his index finger touched her Sekirei forehead mark, channeled the chakra. Suddenly Akitsu forehead Sekirei mark disappeared and reappeared behind her back. Akitsu, I fixed the problem, Akitsu-chan. You could find what you want, Naruto said with a smile. Naruto whispered, barely allowing him to hear. I don't want another. I want you. Who cares about me? And I found my Ashikabi. Naruto couldn't stop the usually stoic, almost drowsy girl from her sudden burst of power as she pulled his head to hers and their lips made contact in the form of a kiss. It was only a fraction of a second, but when they pulled away, Naruto was shocked. Behind her, a bright light glowed, flashing and forming a large, odd pale blue pair of wings, which then rearranged into several smaller pairs of wings in the same color. In a moment, they had faded away, leaving nothing to show they had been there. She smiled. She had such a beautiful smile. You may kiss me as much as you like. Me to Naruto-kun, Akitsu said. If this really was some sort of dream, he hoped he never woke up, as he did the same thing to Akitsu. Kyubi, I think I gave them a chance. I don't know what happened to me. When I kissed them I felt very nice. I really thought Kami-sama was really blessing on me. He gave me beautiful women that no one could match. Again Kyubi growls at his statement. Naruto was confused about what happened to him. This perfect world lasted for a few precious minutes before it was disturbed by a loud knocking on his door. Naruto, do you have a woman in there? You had better not, or it's a violation of your lease. Oh no, Naruto wailed. It's my landlord. How rude, Tsukumi said irritably. How dare he disturb us at such a moment? She stormed over to the door. Tsukumi-san, what are you? She threw open the door to find a middle-aged balding man with a pouch. Why the hell are you disturbing us at a time like this? She shouted into his face. The man was obviously caught by surprise and took a couple steps down the stairs. Who are you, bitch? The man gasped out. I am Tsukumi, Naruto's wife. Now get out of here and don't disturb us again. Naruto appeared beside her. Naruto-san, I told you no women are allowed in this house. If you want to live, you've kicked these women out of my house. The landlord glanced at Akitsu, who was standing beside Naruto. Oh, another woman. Landlord, I know I broke the contract, but that doesn't mean you can talk bad about my wife's landlord, who gasped and took a step back from the blonde guys, and the eyes Sekirei blinked. They felt a demonic aura coming through Naruto bodies. Be out of here in 1 week. The man hurried back down the stairs. Understood. Naruto turned to see that Tsukumi and Akitsu stared at him. Girls, I know who has a lot of questions in your mind. You'll mention me and Akitsu were your wife, Tsukumi asked. Well, yeah, Naruto grinned and rubbed his back. But truly girls, if you truly want to stay with me, I'd to tell you the truth why my previous girls betrayed me. Tsukumi and Akitsu confused the blonde statement. Naruto told them everything about him, his friends, his teams, his past 16 years, shinobi appearance, and one of the important truths is Kyubi. Naruto has seen Tsukumi and Akitsu's stunned faces. He sighed. He knew that they would react the same way as Konoha people's lives. So, that why I can't be with you, and because I'm a demon and you're choosing me, it's nothing but a mistake. You would be regretting that you can wing the demon like me. But before he completes his statement, Tsukumi has force slapped the blonde over the face. Then Akitsu came in front of him and slapped the blonde right cheek. How could you think of this thing in your mind, Uzumaki Naruto? She grabbed his collar and pushed him near the wall. If you demon or whatever you're my husband and I still love you. She kisses him. Akitsu stand in front of him. Naruto-kun, she placed her hands over his cheek. Naruto-kun, if you demon or not, I will follow you and love you end of my life, and don't ever though it would mistake we choose our Ashikabi. Akitsu kiss him. Naruto couldn't believe his own tears flowed out from his eyes. Water and eyes Sekirei shocked him and were crying. Naruto-kun, I never meant to hurt you, please forgive me. Akitsu cried. She doesn't want to lose him. Naruto-kun, I'm really sorry. Please forgive. But both of them shocking. Naruto wrapped his arms around them and put them closer. He didn't know why, but his heart told him to trust those women. Thank you for accepting me. Both Sekirei couldn't help but hug him. I promised myself I won't protect my Ashikabi from that damn Konoha village. Tsukimi thoughts, how could they treat him, especially that two bitches? If I seen, I would kill them. This time I will never leave my side. Akitsu made a promise. I wish that those girls would suffer the same pain that I suffer from both Sekirei wishes at the same time. What about it? Naruto asked when Tsukumi was stared at with a small smile on his lips, while Akitsu was taken napped over his bed sheet. Didn't you mention to your landlord that we're your wife? She said. Naruto grinned and rubbed his back. I really don't know what happened to me. It's been a long time since someone really felt very nice about me. But when the landlord said something bad about you too, I can't hold myself. I still don't know what it is. And as for being my wife, doesn't that require a wedding? A normal man and woman might need one. But the bonding between an and Sekirei is far more sacred and meaningful than any ordinary wedding ceremony could be. In every way that matters, I am now your wife, and you are now my husband. He wasn't sure if he should laugh or cry. She really seemed to believe it too, as he tried to contemplate an answer that would not get him throttled by the 19-inch TV in his apartment suddenly switched on. The image of a man in a white suit with shades and wild white hair appeared. Congratulations on being chosen by a Sekirei to join our little game person. I wish you luck in the difficult days ahead. Naruto stared at his face on his TV. Are you talking to me? Who else? The face answered with a raucous laugh. What is your name? Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto introduced to him. Hello, director, Tsukumi. Number 9. You have no idea how surprised I was to find out you had just been winged. Given your attitudes, I had expected you to be among the very last. A woman is allowed to change her mind, she huffed. Hello, director. Akitsu gritted. The man's face paled. He took a deep breath. Number 7, Broken Sekirei. What are you doing there? Well, I'm here because I winged, Akitsu replied. What? How? When? This happened, the man asked. Akitsu glanced at Tsukumi and nodded to keep the secret from his who fixed her Sekirei seal. It's none of your business what and how this happened, Akitsu said with a boring tone. Excuse me, Naruto called out. But who are you? And what is going on here? What? You don't know who I am? Try reading a newspaper once in a while, Uzumaki-san. Ignorance is nothing to be proud of. He is Hiroto Minaka, chairman of MIB and the director of the Sekirei plan, Tsukumi told him. Wait, you're in charge of MIB, the multinational corporation that owns most of Tokyo? Correct, the man on the screen said happily. Now, as you can imagine, my time is precious, so please listen carefully to what I have to tell you. Sekirei plan is the name of the game you are now participating in. The rules are simple. There are 108 freed Sekirei. They will fight each other until there is only one left standing. That last Sekirei shall be permitted to ascend and hold the world's fate in their hands. The man smiled a bit maniacally. Pretty cool, huh? All this fate stuff? Naruto looked at Minaka and went back to Tsukumi and met. Is it me, or is everyone I meet lately a little insane? Now, in addition to this, as a member of the Sekirei plan, you have a responsibility not only to participate but to keep it a secret. Should you reveal this information, I will use all the resources of MBI to punish you. Is that clear? Naruto stared at him. MBI was a multinational corporation worth hundreds of billions. It owned most of the city of Tokyo, and even had its very own private army equipped with the latest technology. He didn't even want to think what it would be like to have them for an enemy. Completely clear, Uzumaki-san. Good. Well, I have things to do, so I leave you both to it. The TV screen went to black. Great, Naruto said wearily. Now not only do I have to find a new apartment, I have to deal with this. What are you worried about, Naruto-kun? As long as I am here, you have nothing to fear. Now get dressed. Hey, I'm his wife too. No, you don't. Both girls continued arguing with each other. But Tsukumi turned to Naruto, who looked at him with a smile over his face. What are you smiling at, huh? She said with an angry tone. It's not like Tsu-chan and Akitsu-chan. You look more beautiful when you're angry. Both Sekirei were blushing madly, adding her name with chan. While Naruto suddenly remembered the statement. Huh? Get dressed? Why? Tsukimi frowned at him. Do you seriously think I am going to spend my wedding night in this pigsty? We will go have dinner, and then spend the night in a hotel suite. Wait, we're spending the night together? On their own, his eyes dropped to stare at her huge upayas on Akitsu and Tsukimi. Damn, they were so huge then, Bachan upayas. I would never let them away from me this time. Thank you, Kami-sama. I got beautiful women like them that no one could beat. Suddenly Naruto heard Kyuubi's inner growling. Naruto was really confused about what happened to him. Well, obviously, she said. Where else would a husband and wife spend it but with each other? Oh wow, she really does think that we're married. I'm sorry, but money's tight right now. I can't afford to take you out to any place fancy to eat, and I definitely can't afford a hotel room. Akitsu stayed silent because she didn't know about stuff. You don't need to worry about money. She produced a shiny black credit card. I have an MBI VIP card with an unlimited balance. You can have whatever you like from here on. His eyes glittered as he looked at the legendary card. I'm afraid I can't accept it. And why not? She asked Akitsu the same question. Take care of your own business by any means. That is what my mother taught me, and that's what I believe in. A man has to be able to take care of himself without asking for help from others. I am not others, I am your wife, she told him. A husband and wife are supposed to take care of each other, right? Well, naturally. But, no buts. She cut him off sharply. As your wife, it is my responsibility to see that you lead a healthy and safe lifestyle. She pointedly looked around the room. You obviously can't do this on your own. There is nothing wrong in letting your wife help you when you need it. Now I'm getting dressed. I'm hungry and want to go eat. Naruto wound up going into his small bathroom and changing his clothes, wondering how exactly his life had gotten so completely turned around in under half an hour. Back to the village. Tsunade was sitting in his Hokage office due to a lot of paperwork. Damn, this paperwork will give me really headache. Hokage-sama. Well, can I come to Irika and stand over the door? Oh, Irika-san, you came in, Tsunade said with a smile. So what do you want now, Irika-san? If there anything stupid, I will kick your ass that no one show in time for your help. Irika gulped. Well, it's nothing. I was just asking what kind of mission you gave to Naruto-san. Before she can start, someone interrupting Tsunade-sama. Can I come in? Irika and Tsunade gave the killer intel to none other than Hinuro Sakura, but both of them tried to control their anger. And deep breath. Oh, Sakura, come in. Sakura entered the office with another person, none other than Sasuke Uchiha. Sakura and Sasuke, what are you doing here? Tsunade-sama, did you know where Naruto is? Tsunade and Irika raised their eyebrows. Why, Sakura-san? Is something wrong about him? Irika asked, while both of them controlled their anger for that time. Oh, it's nothing, Irika-san, but I want to talk to him, Sakura said. Sakura-san asked why Sasuke was doing this. Tsunade asked. Well, Tsunade-sama, Sasuke proposed to me for marriage and I accepted it, Sakura said with a smile. She was happy that his crush finally accepted her. Irika ragged beyond his limits, but Tsunade interrupted him before he shouted, well, congrats Sasuke-san and Sakura-san. That's good news, and don't worry about Naruto. He was gone from his mission when he completed and he came to Konoha. I can deliver to him, she said with a smile. Thank you, Hokage. Sama, both of them left the room. Iruka glanced at Hokage, but he suddenly gulped a dark aura surrounding Tsunade-sama. Why were you so happy after what she did with your godchild? Tsunade turned to Iruka. I know what I'm doing, Iruka. Well, just as Sakura is finally out of Naruto's life and now Hinata. Tsunade blinked. He turned to Iruka. Iruka told me the truth. Are there other women who are playing Naruto kind for their own selfishness? Iruka gulped and took several steps back. Tsunade started his body language. She stood up, disappeared and reappeared in front of him, and grabbed his collar. Iruka Imino tells the truth who they are and to whom Tsunade the earth is to him. Iruka gulped and promised to tell Naruto not to tell him because the other friends cared. But at Tsunade ragged he broke that many girls came to his life but the story was the same. They left him because they only dated him because they wanted to make their boyfriends jealous. Ino did it for Sai, Tenten for Niji, Hana for Yamato, Temari for Shikamaru and I did it for Naruto. But mostly he was hurt because of Sakura and Hinata. Tsunade-sama. Well, this girl would be play with him, but Naruto promised me do not tell you because he still cared his friends. Iruka saw the blank on Tsunade's face, so there were more girls who played my godson's love like he was a toy to them. Iruka gulped and ran away from the room. He closed the door. He heard Tsunade yelled and broke some of the things that totally destroyed the Hokage office. Naruto is going to kill if he finds out about this Iruka though. He left the office. Back in Tsunade, she almost destroyed half of his office, but she was calm. She took a deep breath. So you finally came here. See Uzumaki. What they are playing with your little brother, and you though I'm wrong to send him on that mission, well that's not a problem. What the report? Hi, I heard everything if I could crush them but I can't. She would not, he got already too. Hokage-sama. Tsunade smiled. Your shadow clone I know that keep his eye on him. And gave me every report. Hi Hokage-sama, Yuzuki said, puffed off. Now let's some rules for Uchiha restriction, Tsunade said, and get back her paperwork. Damn you, this paperwork. The morning sun was just beginning to light the room. Lying beside him, Tsukumi was wide awake staring at Naruto's sleeping face. He looked so peaceful. She looked at Akitsu, who grabbed his left hand with the force and did not want to let it go. She felt angry at her. How dare she touch my husband like that? But suddenly blinked. She reminded his were trusting her. As a wife she has also trusted his husband's words. Hamura had been right. This connection, this bond they shared now. It was like nothing else. She really did feel like a part of him. He filled an empty place inside her she had never even known had been there. Just being with him made her happy. Her hand slowly caressed his face. I love you so much, Naruto. The thought of ever losing you scares me more than death. She had always wanted to be the strongest. Originally it had been because of her pride and her desire to prove a Sekirei did not need to be strong. Now though she aimed to be the strongest to make sure they were never separated. She wanted to stay by Naruto's side forever. As she watched him as well, Akitsu's eyes slowly opened. Good morning, he said. Good morning. Good morning, Akistu-chan. Good morning, Ashikabi-sama. Well, Akitsu, please call me Naruto as my name, and you'll kiss the very type flavor. Naruto comment. Slight blush appeared on Akistu's face, but she smiled. And both of you please keep this secret about who am I. And Tsukumi put his finger over his lips. I know, Naruto. We're promised that we keep this secret, Akistu gave him. Tsukumi and Akistu, I will always love you and protect you, Naruto though. Following a delicious breakfast they headed down to the hotel lobby. Tsukumi was back to her usual charming personality and Akistu was back to her cute personality. Naruto, go back to that pigsty you call home and pack your things. Since we cannot stay permanently in a hotel, I will find us somewhere to live. Here, she handed him a thick wad of cash. Use this to pay for a cab and anything else you may need. Naruto and Akistu glanced at each other, wondering what the Tsukumi are doing right and wrong. Naruto's eyes bulged as he saw the bills were all 10,000 yen notes. She was just casually giving him more money than he had ever seen in one amount before. Su-chan, where did this come from? Tsukumi frowned. The front desk was nice enough to provide a cash advance against my VIP card. Is it not enough? They tell me they can advance me up to 2 million yen. I only took out half that. He gawked at her, and then at the money he was holding. Are you saying you just gave me 1 million yen? Is that a lot? She asked. You seem rather excited about it. Well, of course it's a lot. Don't you know how much 1 million yen is worth? Not really, she said dismissively. Up until now I have just been living at hotels and paying for everything with my card. I don't bother to ask about prices. But since I am now a married woman, I want to settle down with my husband in a proper house. Taking a deep sigh, he held the money back out to her. I can't accept this. She gave him an annoyed look. Are you going to tell me about how you can't ask others for help again? Well, she reached out and carefully wrapped his fingers around the money. A wife's proper duty is to take care of her husband. As both my husband and as my I will always take care of you, Naruto and Akitsu. Akitsu glared at her. You do not need to feel embarrassed by accepting my help. Apparently convinced the discussion was settled, she turned and began striding out of the hotel lobby. Have everything packed and ready to move by 5. I will have a new home ready for us by then. Akitsu grabbed Naruto's right arm and did not want to leave him for a couple of seconds. It's hard to find good places in Tokyo. You might need more than one day, he called after her. Looking back over her shoulders, she flashed him a smile. Have faith in me, Naruto. I will definitely have a place for us ready by 5 o'clock. Packing up and cleaning really didn't take that long as he didn't have that much stuff. He had decided to skip cram school and call into work. He didn't know what sort of new place Tsukumi could possibly find for them so quickly. At 4:45 a moving van pulled up to his apartment complex and there was a knock on his door. Is everything packed with Naruto? Yeah, did you really find us a place? But wait a minute, I can seal all of this scroll. Akitsu and Tsukumi look at Blonde as he opens the scroll above the bags, then puff smoke appears. Both Sekirei eyes widened. What did you do just right now? Akitsu asked. All the stuff were gone suddenly. Well, I just sealed all the bags and clothes into this scroll. Naruto grinned. Both Sekirei stared at Blonde Ninja. Naruto blinked and looked at the girl's eyes. Something spark was glowing in her eyes. Naruto-kun, would you teach me that? Both girls approached at the same time. Naruto sweetly dropped it at the girl's request, but he couldn't deny it. Sure, girls, anything for you. Naruto said. Anything for my. Both of the Sekirei slipped one of his arms around his back and pulled him close to her. The moving company can bring your things. I want to show you our new home myself. Akitsu grabbed tightly. Okay, Akitsu nodded. Without any sort of warning, she leaped into the air. Yawa! Naruto screamed in terror. What's wrong? What's wrong? We're flying through the air. This is how Sekirei normally travel when we are in a hurry. You need to get used to it. And why are you holding your power? Well, I can use my power, but as you know, I'm Shinobi and you're Sekirei. And most importantly, no one knew my identity. Just thought if someone saw me jumping from one building to another in the face, anyone would see me with you guys. It would be troublesome for me. You know what I mean? Naruto grinned as he rubbed his back. Both Sekirei understood. I thought that would be more convenient since we weren't in a hurry. But this way is much faster. She thought nothing of jumping over streets hundreds of feet below as she leapt from rooftop to rooftop. While Akitsu was not arguing about him, she just wanted to stay with him. She took them into the northern part of the city and into a historic district where the buildings were all older and sparser. She eventually leapt over an 8-foot wall and into a wide yard with trees, bushes, and a pond with some ducks floating on it. Here we are, Tsukumi announced. Our new home. Naruto stared. Over the pond was an old wooden bridge that led to a walkway that led to some steps that led to a 2-story building made of gray stone with wide curving roofs made of red tiles. Judging just by the number of windows, he had to guess there were at least 50 rooms. Have you actually bought a palace? Tsukumi frowned. No, this is only a castle. Did you want the palace? How much did this cost you? 400 million yen, she replied. He just stared at her, unable to form any words. Is that a lot? It was just too much, and Akitsu grabbed him before he passed out there. When he came to, he was lying on a large sofa in a room with oak paneling and very old-looking furnishings. Tsukumi was sitting at his side. Are you alright, Naruto? Akitsu asked. Heh, fine, sorry about that. I guess I was just a little shocked that you would spend that kind of money on a place for just the 3 of us. She shrugged. Money doesn't matter to me. Obviously, Naruto thought so. I saw this place was available for sale and I liked it. In any case, as both my husband and as you should get used to living a better lifestyle. Living here will be a part of that. Oh, that reminds me, he sat up. Tsukumi, there's something I want to ask you about. What is it? Well, I know that I'm your, but what exactly isn't? I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm afraid I can't really explain what it is. My adjuster at MBI was a bit scatterbrained and never really explained much. Wait, what's an adjuster? As each Sekirei matured and came of age, we received genetic adjustments to enhance our abilities and prepare us for the Sekirei plan. Naruto shook his head. Coming of age, genetic adjustments, I don't understand. Holding out her open hand, she created a ball of water. I am Sekirei number 9, and just like Akitsu the Sekirei number 7. I've also known Water Sekirei, and she called herself Broken Sekirei, but it was cut off by Naruto rectifying that she is ice, and don't you dare to say that word again, Naruto said with a smile. Tsukumi feared and Akitsu was surprised at Blonde's sudden reaction. Then a small smile appeared on Akitsu's lips. She tried to hug him, but Tsukumi continued her speech. I have the ability to draw water and shape it to my will. There are a total of 108 different Sekirei, each with their own abilities. We were discovered on an alien ship that crash-landed on an uncharted island. The ship was discovered by Monica, and so we became property of the MBI, and have spent our lives being prepared for the Sekirei plan. Wait, you're saying you're an alien? Both nodded. That's right. My DNA is similar to a human's, but there are several key differences. For one, I am far stronger and physically sturdier than a human. Also and all other sekirei, was born with the potential for extraordinary abilities no human would ever have. If we're aliens, then you would run away from us, Akitsu asked. He flinched a bit nervously. Reaching out, he put both his hands over Akitsu and Tsukumi's pious. Both sekirei faces blushed at blonde touch. I felt your and Tsuchan heart bit, and I don't know if you're human or not. I love you and that does not change. Hearing the answer of his voice, Tsukumi placed her hand over his cheeks. I will always want you, Naruto-kun. After all, you are our husband, right? She glanced at Akitsu, who smiled and said that she accepted him. He nodded. Yes, I am. I love you. He kissed Tsukumi. She fervently kissed him back. I love you, Naruto-kun, Akitsu said. Don't forget about me. I will never forget you, Akitsu-chan. He kissed her at the same time. Trio didn't know that on the top of the building the shadow figures were kept in mind. You did very well, my brother. She smiled at him and vanished. Why are you still shinobi in that damn village? What would be done to you? And why are you still working? Tsukumi demanded. Well, even though I'm married, I'm still a shinobi in Konoha village. If I ran away from my village, it would be more troublesome for me. But there are some people who are precious to me and try to do something with my life. And who they are? Tsukumi said. She and Akitsu also know about them. Well, first there is Iruka-sensei, who has been a teacher since the age of 13. And there Yuzuki and Anko, they all love me like my brother. Yuzuki and Anko didn't. They fall in love with you? Akitsu asked. Naruto raised his eyebrow at Akitsu's unexpected question. Well, for Yuzuki, she lost the person who she loved, and I think she would not easily forget about him. And for Anko, well, I didn't feel any type of love feeling for her. Well, short, I don't think I had that type of feeling for her. He had already agreed to accept money from her. Trying to argue with her about it was a losing proposition. It had allowed him the singular joy of calling up his mom and telling her he no longer needed an allowance. That was fun. I think that even though you're supporting me, that it's important that I at least try and provide for myself. Is this about that, being a man nonsense? She asked dryly. Pretty much, he admitted. Good morning, Sakura-san, Shizen said cheerfully to the pink-haired young lady as she entered the Hokage's office early in the morning. Haruno Sakura smiled back and continued on her way to the small side office where she normally spent most of her day attending to her duties, whether they be training or assisting with Tsunade's medical programs. Before she disappeared through the door, she glanced over at where Tsunade was standing, in front of the large windows overlooking the village. Her stomach twisted slightly, uncomfortable at the way her sensei had been acting for the last few days. It had all started late one afternoon when a frog had appeared bearing a large scroll, presumably from Jiraiya. Sakura had tried to get her to explain about what was going on, but beyond saying that everything was fine, Tsunade hadn't elaborated further. She had also quickly hidden the scroll. Sakura didn't like unsolved puzzles, but no matter how she considered it, she couldn't unravel what significance the scroll could possibly have. It was far too large to be a communication, and it looked a bit like a contract scroll for a summoning. Unfortunately, she didn't see how that was possible either, since it seemed unlikely that a summoning scroll would cause Tsunade so much disconcertment. Not that the undiscerning eye would have noticed it, but Sakura had spent a great deal of time with Tsunade over the years. Ever since she got that scroll, the Hokage's smile had seemed false, and her posture tense whenever she was near her apprentice. With a sigh, Sakura shut the door behind her and started moving papers off of her small desk so that she would have some room to work with. Before she had even managed to sit down, the door burst open and Tsunade bustled in, holding a small tray with tea and cakes. I'm sorry I didn't notice you a minute ago, Sakura-san, Tsunade said cheerfully. I brought you something to make up for it. Now Sakura's suspicions flared off the charts. Tsunade was routinely harsh, loud, and lazy. She had never, ever, played a servant girl just to make up for a social slight before. Sending Shizen would have been believable, but coming personally was just out of the question. Then there was the fact that her mentor seemed to be in some kind of barely perceptible inner turmoil too. How unexpected, Tsunade-sama, Sakura said hesitantly. Thank you so much. Well, don't just stand there. I can be nice to you, know, Tsunade replied loftily. Right, Sakura replied politely. She picked up the tea and turned herself away from Tsunade slightly. Her mentor had given her pop quizzes in the past, though never by trying to poison her directly, but it was possible that this was something like that. No sooner than Sakura had begun molding her chakra in an attempt to detect any tampering with the drink than she felt a sharp pain in her side. Her head wrenched around sharply to take in an unfathomable scene. The pain intensified, followed by the warm, wet feeling of gushing blood, as Sakura looked at the knife Tsunade had plunged to the hilt in her side. So careless, Tsunade said. Sakura-chan, Tsunade-sama, what is this? Shizen yelled from the door. Having heard the commotion, she had come running, and now dumbfounded at what was going on. Stay back, Shizen-chan, this doesn't concern you, Tsunade said coldly. I won't let you get away with your plot, Sakura. Wadash? Sakura tried to speak, but before she could finish, one of Tsunade's chakra-charged blows sent her crashing through the wall of the Hokage Tower, propelling her all the way across the street, where she crashed through the wall of another building. Tsunade-sama, "Stop this madness," Shizen yelled as the older lady took a running jump through the hole Sakura's exit had made. Still, she could only stand rooted to the spot as the blonde rushed toward the damage caused by the pink-haired girl's landing. Sakura moaned as she tried to stand up and realized that her legs had been pinned down from some falling support beams that had once held up the structure her impact had just annihilated. Chakra rushed into her limbs as she kicked the debris off and stood unsteadily to her feet. To make matters worse, the fall had pushed the dagger, which was still lodged in her side, even deeper into her guts. With a squelching noise, she pulled the weapon free and then applied liberal amounts of healing chakra to repair the damage. For now, she would just be satisfied with repairing the tissue damage and halting the bleeding. But as soon as possible, she knew that she would have to treat herself for septic poisoning, among other infectious possibilities. Tsunade had known precisely where to stab her for the most injurious effects possible based on how they had been standing relative to each other at the time. There was a thunderous crash, and the rubble around Sakura seemed to vaporize itself in a flash of brilliant heat. Sakura channeled chakra throughout her body to enable her to survive the intense pressure that the destructive wave caused as it carved out an enormous crater around her position. "Tsunade-sama, this is some kind of mistake," Sakura protested as her sensei plowed through the smoke that was choking off visibility almost entirely and proceeded to deliver a barrage of powerful blows. "I take this mistake for you and Uchiha what you did with Naruto my godson Life, you pay for it." "Did you think you could get away with it?" Tsunade asked, oblivious to Sakura's protests. "I've known about your designs since the beginning, but I had hoped you could be useful to Konoha anyway." "Tsunade," Sakura pleaded as she slipped a punch through that sent the elderly blonde staggering back a few steps. "I don't know what you're talking about." But now, Tsunade continued as if Sakura hadn't even spoken, "I see that my experiment has come to naught. As Hokage, I will now make sure that none of the medical secrets I pioneered will ever fall into Orochimaru's hands." "That's crazy," Sakura protested angrily. "I would never betray Konoha to that snake." "You're not fooling anyone," Tsunade retorted. "I know all about your past, remember? You already offered to betray Konoha before and now you're just waiting for an opportunity to defect for that Uchiha brat." "You're wrong," Sakura said tersely. "I want to save Sasuke, not defect to Orochimaru." Tsunade stomped down abruptly, causing the earth to shiver and her foot to disappear into the ground thigh deep. With a massive surge of chakra-enhanced muscles, Sakura found a giant chunk of earth being dug out of the ground and kicked toward her with one sweeping move of Tsunade's leg. She realized with a start that if they stayed where they were, the center of Konoha would swiftly be reduced to a wreck. "Please stop, Tsunade-sama," Sakura yelled. She flickered away, appearing on top of a nearby building. Without waiting to see Tsunade leaping after her, she ran as swiftly as she could toward the nearest training ground. "Are you done yet?" Tsunade asked once they had arrived after an uneventful pursuit. "You gonna pay for this?" Sakura turned around slowly, her face an unreadable mask of scowling hard lines. She squelched ruthlessly the hurt feelings caused by her mentor's harsh words. "You've grown considerably since the last attempt," Tsunade said. "I told you already, I want to save Sasuke, not join him," Sakura replied. "Just like Naruto-kun." Sakura stopped at mid-movement. She felt the dark chakra coming from Tsunade. How dare she take my son's name after that betrayal? Tsunade suppressed what would have been a proud smile and charged, her heels gouging out holes in the turf, so heavy were her steps. Sakura went into a slight crouch to lower her center of balance, and winced in pain from the incompletely healed wound in her side. Chakra swirled around Tsunade's arm as she attempted to punch Sakura's midriff, but instead of yielding flesh, her fist collided with another chakra-reinforced blow. For a split second, master and apprentice were connected, fist squarely against fist, until the energies of their attacks sent them careening away from each other. Tsunade picked herself out of a shallow trench that she had created by skidding along the ground and noticed that Sakura was doing the same. Her hand dipped down to her right thigh for a quick healing technique to repair the muscles that Sakura had unexpectedly severed in the midst of Tsunade's last attack. Likewise, Sakura was healing the surgical cut that Tsunade had inflicted on her left arm. Without waiting for Sakura to finish, Tsunade slammed her hands down into the ground and pulled out a large chunk of rock, which she threw at the pink-haired girl. Sakura responded by punching her way through the projectile, but that proved to be a mistake as the ground beneath her ruptured on each side. Twin slabs of bedrock, under the combined influence of Tsunade's chakra and monstrous strength, slammed together, sandwiching the girl between them. The aging Hokage leaped high into the air, intending to bring down her leg with a decisive drop kick technique, when the stones obscuring Sakura split into dozens of tiny chunks and fell away. Tsunade noticed the straight edges of the gravel remaining from Sakura's escape, and clapped her hands together in a difficult wind technique to escape her prior trajectory. It was well that she did so, for as soon as she touched down, Sakura set upon her with invisibly thin scalpel-like blades of chakra emanating from her fingers. From a pace of over 10 meters, the two women faced off with the ultimate weapons of supreme chakra control. Sparks erupted in midair as their claws met and scraped over each other as both tried to skewer the other. Sakura moved her fingers rapidly up and down with her hand held horizontally at chest height. The tips of her long chakra claws exploded against the ground and ripped up gouges repeatedly, as Tsunade expertly dodged the nimble attacks. Sakura felt a pain lance through her shoulder, and realized that Tsunade had changed tactics again. Now the legendary medic was rapidly varying the length of her chakra appendages, and using that effect for a flurry of invisible jabbing attacks. Doing the only thing she could think of in such a situation, Sakura somersaulted backwards, out of her teacher's reach. No time was given for Sakura to recover though. Tsunade shortened the reach of her chakra scalpels and charged at Sakura, waiting until the last instant to send all 10 razor-sharp edges rocketing toward her position at the same time. Sakura smirked and leaped straight into the air just as Tsunade's attack plowed into the ground, kicking up a lot of dust. Before the Hokage could retract her tendrils of chakra, Sakura landed on top of them, and used chakra pooled in her feet to race back up along the tiny, but strong strands to deliver a devastating kick to Tsunade's head. "Did that jar some sense back into you?" Sakura asked smugly, as she landed lightly on her feet. With an angry roar, Tsunade bounced back off the ground, chest heaving, and punched the ground rapidly. Each blow churned up thick clouds of dirt, and caused the earth to quake enough that Sakura's balance wobbled. With unexpected speed, Tsunade emerged from the dust, and started raining down hammer blows on the relatively tiny pink-haired girl. "Fine," Sakura said to herself as she dug her feet in. "If you want to go at this like a couple of drunken brawlers, then so be it." Shizen and Tantan arrived just in time to see two figures in the midst of a giant cloud of dust and debris begin pounding on each other. Most of the blows being exchanged between the two women were landing on each other, fist against fist, each time with a dull, thunderous concussion as excess chakra was dispersed into the surrounding atmosphere. However, some of the blows were getting through, and despite almost inhuman levels of chakra-enhanced durability, both women were becoming increasingly bloodied. Tsunade's hair, normally in lazy pigtails, had come free and was swishing around with each swing of her fists. One of Sakura's eyes was swollen shut, and even though she was still delivering full-powered punches, Shizen was almost certain her right wrist had shattered. At last they broke apart, as if they both realized at the same time that if they didn't pause to heal, their ability to sustain combat would soon be lost. "She's really trying to kill me," Sakura thought to herself as she tried to will her limbs to cease shaking from fatigue. Her chakra levels were rapidly depleting thanks to the healing she was having to do, usually on the same injuries, as Tsunade was directing her attacks to reopen old wounds repeatedly. Each healing of an old wound was less complete than the last, and Sakura knew that the worst injuries, her side and her wrist, would soon become inoperable at this rate. One glance at Tsunade and Sakura's plight seemed even more desperate to Shizen. She was alarmed at how the medical princess of Konoha, so dubbed by Jiraiya, was acting, though she still had faith that it was a just cause. Tsunade had tricked her before, after all, into thinking that she might actually help Orochimaru. At least Shizen had convinced herself that Tsunade had been tricking her all along, and had never considered aiding the evil Sannin. Freshly healed again, Tsunade looked as formidable as ever. Her chakra reserves were still so high that it was impossible to tell how much power was left in her aging body. Sakura, on the other hand, had taken a stiff beating, not to mention having to overcome such a grievous wound being inflicted on her by surprise before the real battle had even started. The pink-haired girl had swallowed several pills to replenish chakra, blood, and boost her strength. With a deep breath of relief thanks to the warm, soothing effects of her medicine, Sakura cleared her mind and concentrated on her next move. Tsunade was walking slowly toward her, hands flashing in rapid execution of seals as her trademark jacket billowed out behind her. Sakura tried to move, but found herself rooted in place. She channeled vast quantities of chakra into her muscles as she vainly struggled against some unseen force. The world around her went black and still except for the sound of running water all around her. The inky black water started to creep up her legs and panic began to set in, despite her attempts to squelch it. "You passed," Sakura Tsuande said with a smile. Sakura and Shizen blinked at Tsuande's sudden reaction. "Well, this battle has proven that you are worthy of my appreciation," Tsuande said with a smile. "You have a will of fire in your heart, and you handled the situation very clearly. First you checked the place to fight me without anybody being harmed. This is the most important task for medical ninja, to not take any harmness." Sakura and Shizen smiled. Shizen took Sakura to hospital before she passed out. After Tsuande stood there, Tsunade smiled and turned into frown. "Damn it. If Shizen did not appear, I would be able to kill her." She sighed. "You should be feel great, Sakura, because of Shizen's presence, otherwise I can kill her. I wonder where Hinata is. I never saw her after Naruto was gone on a Sekirei mission." She smirked. "If it was her place, I would do the same thing she did to Naruto, but I weren't gone that far. She lost her mother, as she was everything." Sash walked back to the Hokage office. "I know Naruto kept talking about Hitomi so badly. Well, did his first crush Hitomi? Just my imagination." Naruto, You would never hurt your friends because they were accepted you as a friend. Tsunade as clench his fists, but as your godmother I know how to make the things the straight line. Don't worry Sochi, your godmother able take revenge what they did with you. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time, till then sayonara.